Hey everybody. I wanted to make a video about all this crazy stuff that has come out in the the Epstein files, and just like God, I don't even know where to start. And I'm teetering between almost like not wanting to know like every little thing, but to really just sit in the bottom line that this is a real thing and it's been confirmed now. It's international. It's like George Carlin said, it's a big club and, we ain't in it. And that big club, it's like everyone or everybody, at least at that level, knew somebody, you know, who was doing this shit. And I mean, it's like heinous, heinous. I mean, the worst. Like, my God, I saw a comment the other day. I watched this short about like beef jerky, that like, it wasn't. And then it's like, oh, his personal chef like had this like cannibal cafe thing going on, and maybe it's just like tongue in cheek, but oh, is it? It's kind of creepy and all this stuff. And one of the comments was like, I think the comment was, I'm starting to think I wasn't paranoid enough, or I'm not paranoid enough. And that's how I feel too, like, holy shit. So what I'm trying to do is just take the truth from that. Like, it is real, it's real. It's come out, it's confirmed. And then try to be like, well, what does it mean to act accordingly from that truth? How are my actions and my point of view? What can I get out of it that is actually going to make me live more in alignment with the type of person I am, the type of person I want to be, the type of person I am becoming and being? What can I do, to benefit myself? Because it's like, in a way, it's like every man for himself. But in another way, it's like it's a big club and we ain't in it. Maybe that was really like said for peace of mind. Maybe that's the good thing. Maybe that's the good news, because the majority is vast and we are ourselves, but we're also, one unit and together. And so what I'm trying to take away from all this is, it is just really what I already knew anyway, but really just solidified it. Anybody that is still talking sides, it's like I don't even really want to talk to them or listen to what they have to say. Not saying I'm going to be rude or anything like that, but this is so much bigger than right or left, and that's what was so obvious to me. Like, obvious. They're all in on it. If they had that on Trump, right? They knew that about Trump. They knew that Trump was in on it back in 2016, I'm sure. Right? So if they knew that about Trump, which they did, and they were looking for dirt about Trump, that's where Russiagate came from. That's where my, disillusionment after the fact kind of came from. I was so lost. I was homeless in 2017. I was homeless, like literally on the streets when Trump won the election the first time. So I was in no position to like really keep up with politics or have any desire to. I just had my same beliefs as always. I was just a lifelong Democrat. I couldn't believe Trump won. I was still interested, but yeah, I didn't follow it. But I looked back on it a couple years later when I began to get sober in 2018, and I was like, oh my God, so that was a hoax. So the point is like they were desperate to have this dirt on Trump, and they had dirt on Trump. That's the ultimate dirt. So why didn't they use it? Why even make up a Russia thing or anything like that in the Steele dossier? It's like, wow, I can't believe that was all like just totally bogus. If that's the truth and they knew it, which it is, and they did, why wouldn't they throw him and the entire Republican Party under the bus? Well, obviously because they're in on it too. Why wouldn't Trump be like, oh, release the files? He's been hinting at that and talking about that and whatever, and the same thing. Like he's in on it, so that's why he's not going to release the files, because they're all in on it. And I just think that they have been kind of laughing at us as they herd us like lobotomized cattle for generations, to really have all this. Absolutely, it's like infighting on sides of a circle, and it's like a circle jerk in a ring of hell, bottom line. And so it's, please, let's keep the priority. It's us and them, and they are anyone who is like anti-humanity to that degree. And the fact that I'm also trying to use it just like to really solidify the fact that personally I've kind of been a political party refugee for a long time, but to really solidify the fact that it's an absolute waste of time. And even just the whole pitch was, hey, lesser of two evils. I mean, talk about bottom of the barrel. If that has to be your pitch or tagline, hey, at least I'm not the other guy, then why even waste the gas money to go vote? Seriously, we have to do better. And if better choices aren't offered, well, then just fuck it. I won't waste my gas money anymore is what I'm saying. So I'm trying to keep that in mind. The celebrities, like, I knew they were like the shiny cubic zirconia lobotomized cattle. They were like the cattle of the cattle, to help, like, careen us over this cliff or whatever, or corral us as we head towards the cliff. But their silence, they're all so compromised, so very compromised. And it's like we knew it, but now we really know. And it's, if you speak out about it, like, after the fact, but if you don't, and you're still like, oh my god, ICE, and like I said, Obama had fucking deported, he's deported more than anybody. Good lord. It's like, what are we fighting for? So maybe it's like a blessing that we're not in the club, and maybe it's a blessing that we are in this time in life, because I'd much rather know the ugliness than keep on like being lied to, or like pretending to like live in this this like false, at least we know, right? So that's a positive. And something else that I always like really hated about being in the time that I was in, I couldn't stand being a millennial. Personally, I just was like, God, we are the most like overrated generation. I hated being a millennial back when it was like openly known as Gen Y. And that was the joke. I think I've said it before amongst me and my best friends. We would always say like Gen Y, like why us, or why not the fuck us? It was always like, I felt like we had just missed all of the best things about the 90s. Cause it's like, I was too little in the 90s to enjoy it, even like the music, Bill Clinton playing the sax, all that. I was a very small child. So by the time I came of age, like grunge was deader than dead. Bill Clinton was on his way out. I came of age during like George Bush and the Iraq War. And, 9/11 happened when I was in high school. September the 11th happened when I was in high school. It's like we were the generation that like put the ADD and addiction, we put school shootings on the map, we put reality TV on the map. And I'm like, what in the hell do we have to show for ourselves? Seriously. And then Gen Z came, and as that kind of in-between generation, it's like epic generation, Gen X. Even X is like the kick-ass letter. Then there's us, the millennials, and then there's Gen Z. And it's like, man, they have a kick-ass letter. And it's like they are very, revolutionary in many ways generation. And I felt like we were just kind of like this purgatorial time period, like a buffer generation on both ends. But, maybe we can be, it's going to be like women who are like almost 40, I think, or, early 40s, like, and the elder millennials. I heard Meghan Markle, speaking of the files, she wouldn't, anyway, I heard, Meghan Markle, it was like a reaction to an article that she did where she called herself an elder millennial. And I was like, bitch, you are not a millennial. Come on now. It's just like obvious. Even her references, it's like, what are you even talking about? She 100% she's lying about her age. Guarantee it, because I know that don't try to tell me about pop culture for my time period. You're fibbing, and that's okay, but she's like, the only thing real about her is her inauthenticity. But yeah, maybe it can be up to us to like just like really stand in truth, because what concerns me about future generations and just kind of like the pop culture now is it's kind of like the writing is on the wall. It has been notarized. We have read it. But yeah, they're just kind of trying to like hurry up. They know we have short attention spans. So it's really up to us to hold the line of being like, okay, just because it's on the internet is not true. The internet is not reality. It is a reflection, at best, a reflection, a skewed, like blip of a reflection of reality. And at worst, it's just a flat out, fantasy or falsehood. But just because it's on the internet, the internet is not life. So we really have to be aware of that, because these institutions, what are we going to do when we do not have the parameters of the structure that we've always had? When the tower is like falling, or we are standing amongst the rubble, besides being like grateful that we've survived, now what? And it's really going to take like the discernment of all of us, and myself included. Like I said, I'll have to go into it in a later video, because it's like really I need like 15 minutes to ramble and rant about this topic alone. But I studied psychology from 2002, off and on, from 2002 to 5, when I first went to college, and then like dropped out my senior year. When I went back to school, it was from 2013 to 15. And I actually got my bachelor's in behavioral science with a minor in social work. And so I never, my degree is not in psychology, but I majored in it twice, and I did get, my bachelor's of science in the social sciences. And so I took a lot of upper level psychology courses in 2004 and 5, specifically in 2013 through 15. And when I took upper level psych courses, every time you could not even touch the DSM, which is the Bible of the field. You could not touch it with your bare hands. You could not open it up without having the disclaimer. Every single class, Psych 101, Psych 102, you never even touched the DSM, never even thought about it. It was just for upper level psych courses. And we got the disclaimer that, this is what we're studying for, is for the certification to be able to detect the nuance in any given situation. There's very specific criteria, measurements. Sometimes there's very specific tests to diagnose a person on whatever, or even something like bipolar. There's bipolar 1, there's bipolar 2, and it's the nuance, because it's really, we're all people and it's all human nature. But it's those like outliers and those the factors that say, okay, well, this is like beyond just like the normal scope and spectrum. So now you have a diagnosis, right? We got that disclaimer because if you just opened it up, you could make literally every single diagnosis fit. Every single one you could make fit, because there's always an aspect of us that has that. That's like, I think it's that Myers-Briggs personality test. I think that's what it's called, like the big one that has, I don't know, 50 plus questions or something. Maybe it's even more than that. And it was like, one of the questions was like, have you ever wanted to be a man? It's like, no shit. Who wouldn't want to be a man? But that's the funny thing, being raised Catholic and studying psychology, it's like men have, it's a fucking perversion, shocker, that they want to be a woman, man. It's that weird Buffalo Bill shit, and it's the church and the state. No separation. Never was. I've said that before. It's a lie that it was ever separated. I mean, they're all fucking together at the top, probably on a goddamn island somewhere. We know it now. Cat is out of the bag. But, at the top of the church, there is a man with a God complex standing at the front, a dick with a dick in a dress, heralded as the one with the answers. And women cannot dare blaspheme to even think that we could stand up there beside him in the same garbs and regalia. On the left now, not political, but on the other end of the spectrum, the state, it is the same thing. There are dicks with dicks and dresses standing up front, being heralded as like, whatever. And women can, they want to be us, but then they don't want us to like reach them. And it's just, it is so patriarchal and fetishy and disgusting. And as soon as you take a field of study and you say, if one thing from the DSM can become like self-ID, then that negates the entire premise of the field. No more than if the church said that you could start to self-ID as Jesus Christ in the second coming and be taken seriously. So these systems are crumbling. They're exposing themselves and they're being exposed. The question is like, what are we going to do and to act accordingly? And, so the power's gone from them, but it is up to us at the end of the day to take it back for ourselves and not be too hardened by what we see in the meantime, and use our discerning eye, our mind and our heart, to have like our third sight. But what do y'all think? Take it easy.